Right, in the Regimental Museum in Brecon, we have an educational wing, and Jeanette is the educational officer, you could say. She's in charge of the room and the children, and we tried to get over to the children what it was like in the war. Not our war, but the Second World War, and rationing. And you can believe it or believe it not. I've had a school in, and I was talking to him downstairs, and the school had already been to the lessons for the home front. So I thought I'd ask him some questions. One of the questions I asked, who can tell me about Churchill? And one of the kids turned around, he's a dog that sells insurance on telly, which I thought was a bit disgusting. And the other one, when I was talking about powdered milk, powdered egg, powdered potato, they couldn't believe what I was talking about. One of them didn't even know that chickens laid eggs. They thought they came from the co-op. And that's the culture we have today. They don't get taught anything that's not politically correct. Well, I'm sorry, political correctness or not, the Second World War happened, our relations were in it, and a lot of soldiers died. So it should be taught, and I don't care what the education people say. Now, when you come here, you get brought up and you will be shown and talked to about the stuff they had. Now, if you look at this table, that there is what you could have got in the war. Looks a lot, but it doesn't mean to say you had all of it. You were rationed. And you might have 1 egg a week. 2 ounces of cheese. And that costs money plus a coupon. If you didn't have a coupon, you didn't get the food. Mind you, if you didn't have the coupon, you didn't get nothing at all. And this is some of the food you could have got. And it's got the weights on it and the prices in old money, not this Mickey Mouse stuff we got today. Right? You got this girl on telly saying that we're ruining the world. Now, when I was younger, there was no plastic bottles. Everything was in glass. The pop bottles were in glass, and he took them back to the shop and got threepence for them. The milk bottles were put outside and they were collected and reused. When you went to the shop, you got things like, that's what we took them home in. Paper bags, not plastic. Plastic wasn't around. So we haven't ruined the world. It's you youngsters have ruined the world. And that's my little bit about getting back to you, right? And that girl there says, we are going to save the world as children. I'm sorry, they couldn't save in a bank, let mind anything else, right? What they got to appreciate that what they got now is because people in the past have died for. I know I might go on about it, but I'm passionate about veterans, passionate about the army, I'm passionate about our freedom, which is getting taken away from us. But that's political, and I won't go no further. You've got the scales. Up on the wall, you've got some of the brochures that were put out. And the famous one is spam. Now, we used to get spam, and a lot of people don't realise what it means. Spam is specially prepared American meat. It got shipped over. You got all these. It's interesting, and when the kids come up, they can touch it. They can see it. The uniforms, a couple of uniforms down here, and they're allowed to put them on. Now the battle dress, I remember the battle dress, and when you put it on and you'd done anything physical, it itched like hell, and it was like putting on a coat of nails or pins, because it played up on your skin. And they think it's like the kit we wear today, but it's not. And they get a chance to put it on and use it. You got the stuff on the table, which is some of the games we played. We didn't have such a thing as this thing you play with in the bedroom and on a telly. We didn't have tellies in the bedroom. We went outside and played, and we used to play games like kick the bucket, which is one. Kiss chase. I didn't like that, because I always used to find I caught the boy instead of the woman, but never mind. You had knock in the door, and what we used to do in our street, you get some string and you tie it to the knockers of the door, all the way down, and then you get someone on a bike, and he'd start up at the top, and he'd pedal like hell, and he'd go down, and as he went down and broke the string, the knockers would knock, and everybody would come out, but there would be no one in the street because the bike had gone. There's things like that. You might think that they were childish, but we were children. We played out, which they can't do today. And that's the trouble. The children have lost their childhood. I remember getting up in the morning, you'd have a bottle of water, which was Corona, not the virus, but the pop. You'd have a bottle of water, you'd have a sandwich about that thick, and you put it in a bag, and you go out for the day. And everybody would taste or have some of the water. There was no such thing as you're not sharing. And when you got home at night, the water would have been gone, but there's about that much sediment in the bottom of the bread. But you didn't worry about catching anything, because you didn't catch anything, because it wasn't around. But children can't play outside, they can't get dirty, they can't build up a resistance. And that's the biggest thing, and that's why this coronavirus is going around. No resistance, because everybody's changed. I'm going on a bit, but I believe in children should be children, not politicians. Right, you got the baby chair. That was good, that was, because if you put double-sided tape, if you had some, which wasn't invented, you could put the baby in there and she couldn't get out. She'd be stuck there. I'm only joking on that one. Health and safety, you got around here a radio. It's Bakelite. And with the Bakelite, very brittle. If you drop them, they'd shatter. Very expensive. You've got tubes in the back. And when we say tubes, it's glass, and it had filaments in it, and they all lit up. And you'd have to put it on about a week before you wanted to listen to it, because it had to warm up. You got the record player, or gramophone player, which you had to wind up like hell. And you put it on, and then you'd have to go back then, because it'd go fast, and then it'll slow down, and then it'll go into a growl. That's a nice bit of kit, if you could afford to have one. I remember when tellies first came out, and I think they first come out for the coronation of the Princess Elizabeth, the Queen now. And everybody went into the house that had this television, and the screen was only that size, if you were lucky, and you had to get close up, and it was grey, it was grained, you could just about make out what was happening. The sound was like that bandage crap. But we sat there for hours watching it, because it was something fantastic. And it was only on for about 2 hours a day. Not like it is today. You got other pieces of kit. I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to get the camera to turn because I'm magnetic. And then I'll tell you about some of the stuff that was over here. You seen boat? The only boats we had was boat on Sundor. Anyway. This is some of the other kit that we had. You had the basic military stretcher. And with a stretcher, the way that you test it to see if the canvas is okay is you hold it up and you get the biggest, fattest bloke there to fall flat onto it. And if he stopped when he hit the canvas, it's all right. If he carried on straight through, you couldn't use it. And that's the way you used to test the stretchers. You had blankets. We've got the Union flag here. I keep saying it's not the Union Jack unless it's on a jack arm of a naval ship. On land, it's a Union flag. You know about tinnitus? This year is an air raid siren. And you wind it up like this. I'm not winding it too much because that is very, very low. You could hear this for miles. And when you hear it, it was like everybody had diarrhea with daps on. They just get out of the way as fast as possible and get down to an air raid shelter or get out of the way. Lucky enough, I wasn't born when this was on. But we got someone in the corner there that could tell me about it. He knew Pontius before he was a pilot, so don't worry about any of the wars. You got air raid, wardens, civil defence. They were all volunteers. And this is the kit they used to wear. Like a berry. Some others do have them. The helmets. Now in the First World War, the troops went into the trenches with soft caps on. And if you go back to what I said before about the names of things, you got shrapnel, which was an explosive bomb that fired shrapnel down. And they found out a lot of our troops were getting injured with head injuries. So they brought out the tin helmet and they started issuing. And it wasn't only until the First World War, until this piece of kit was killing people, that they decided that they needed helmets instead of caps. Strange, isn't it? Got to wait for someone to die before you change something. You got the ARP, Air Raid Patrol. They're there. They do patrols around, and if you had like the curtain in the corner there has got a bit of light shining. If you had that, he'd be outside your door, he'd knock your door or he'd bang your door and tell you to close it, and you could possibly get a fine because that could be seen by the German aircrafts. You got their desk, and on it is some of the stuff. You've got a medical kit. You've got a rattle. Now, this is a rattle. You think it's a football one, but it's not. It was used again for the bombs to clear anything, and it's quite loud. I'm not going to shake it around because it'd be too loud, but it makes a good sound. You all know what it is, and that means you've got an air attack coming in. You've got the field telephone. and you had wires that went on to two terminals, and it went on to another phone, and that's all you do. You press it down, or you wind it up on the side, and you could talk to someone. And it was a very thin wire, and it was called Don 10. I don't know why, because I don't think Don made it, but it's Don 10. You also had the fire bucket with a stirrup pump. This one is not very good. And the reason that it's not very good is because the bucket got an hole in it. So you can't get no water. Yeah. Enemy uniforms. This bit of kit is not to get the ashes out of the fire, not to put conkers in. This was used for the incendiary bombs, that when they came in, you should pick them up, put them out, put dirt on them, put sand on them, because once you stop the air getting to them, the phosphorus wouldn't burn. But you couldn't get too close. So that's what you used to use. The people in them days must have been fantastic to think about all these implements that he could use. And it was basically out of scrap metals. You got general information about the war, and you got the German and the British planes, newspapers. I'm going out to shot a minute, and I'm going to tell you my favourite, okay? Just hold on. I like nurses because they give you sweets. And this is a nurse's uniform from about the Second World War period. The Red Cross in it, which is the Geneva Red Cross, which we have signed. Like the Japanese never signed the Geneva Convention, so they could do what they want. We had to abide by it. But the skirt, the cape, and that. And just out of interest, the cape that the nurses wore was short capes because it represented blankets. And when the women used to go out in the Crimea and the wars around that period, they put blankets over their shoulders. And they go out, and if they found someone alive, they'd take a blanket off and put it on top of them to keep them warm. And then when the male medics come out, they'd only go to the ones with the blankets on. So the uniform is a part of something, a part of their history as well. Well, like nurses. I could have been a nurse, but I was a medic. That's Richie. He was a medic when we were there. You haven't seen Richie? Have you seen Richie? Come on. There's Richie, 42. Next year he can retire. He'll be in the Old Farts Club. He does the camera, the lights, and of course Bill, he makes the tea.
Yeah. Hi Bill, like to join
Oh,
us.
yes, yes.
Yeah, might meet Bill as well.
May as well come in and see Bill. Yeah. Now this one here, knew Pontius before he was a pilot. And he had a rank before a tank. He was a centurion. But not bad. We haven't told him yet he's died. But he'll be all right. Right. Well,
but if you notice, we don't talk much because you've got no chance. Carry on.
Mwah. Right, I've shown you the education room. As a school, if you want to phone up and book, phone the museum. The number for the museum will be there. but it might be there. But more likely it's there. And you can phone up, book the school in, come up, and you can be taken around and shown all this stuff. You can be shown how it was used. The teacher, Janet, is very, very good at explaining things and very, very knowledgeable on what she does. Well, I'm going to leave you now because the eggs on the table over there and the meat is going stale. So all the best, keep safe, and eat the sweets I'm not getting. Goodbye.